The
Oh,
schedule.
Yeah. Oh,
you love
yeah.
talking the schedules. You love talking about the schedule coming up. You love talking about schedules from
20
8 years ago, 20 years ago. And this is not a knock. I love the conversation too. I'll talk schedules. I'll talk rankings. I'll talk that stuff forever. I can sit here. Some nights I'll sit here if people get me on it, and I'll talk about games from 20 years ago for 3 hours. If there's going to be 300 people that are going to sit here and watch it, sure, why not? But so I'm not putting you down, Jason. It's just funny. I just hit the nail on the head when it comes to you enjoying talking about schedules.
In full disclosure.
Yes.
In full disclosure here, I put in my time off request from work, and it got approved for the LSU game, for the Florida game on January 2nd. Mind you, that was 9 months and 11 months before the games are actually going to be played, but that's how important this is. When the schedule came out at 7 o'clock, when it finally came out completely closer to 8 o'clock, thanks to the ACC network once again showing why the ACC is a joke when it comes to even schedule release shows, I put in my time off request literally by 8:05 because the schedule is the most important thing. This is that tasty morsel. This is that when you look on the menu and you see the appetizer and you're like, ooh, guacamole. Ooh, chips and dip. Ooh, mozzarella sticks. Ooh, fried ravioli. This is that fried ravioli. This is that tasty morsel of that scheduled release. And now we're going to spend a half an hour talking about the schedule. Let's do this.
Okay.
Mark,
well, let's set up the schedule here.
Do this. Let's start with September.
Okay. The Florida State September schedule opens up with
August and September.
With an August, yes, a week 0 matchup with the mighty Dukes of Duquesne in Tallahassee.
Right.
Followed up by the matchup against LSU that we will all be stoked and hyped and pumped up for, LSU Florida State in New Orleans. A bye week to dive into ACC play with Louisville on the road, Boston College, and there is your September schedule of Duquesne, LSU, bye week, Louisville on the road, Boston College.
I'm once again, let's just be honest. At this rate, Florida State cannot afford to get cocky with our predictions. We can't get overly confident because of what the last 4 seasons have been. I'm content with those first 4 games. I'm content with that schedule. I like the bye week after LSU. I'm going to go out and say it. I think we beat LSU. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any stretch of the imagination, but I think we are going to beat LSU for several reasons. I think LSU is coming off a 6 and 7 season. I think we were on the upswing. I think LSU, the way they played in that bowl game, are on the downhill.
I don't know how many of those guys are going to be playing anymore, but keep going.
I think, they're going to be breaking a new coach. Yes, it's a coach we played last year in Brian Kelly. I think it's going to take them a while to get comfortable with his system in Baton Rouge. So I think that right now, I legitimately think by the end of September, I think Florida State is 3-1.
Do you remember, Jason, when the LSU agreement was made and announced?
It was about 2019.
Because I know we talked about it. And at that point, my initial reaction, based on what Florida State football looked like on the field and what LSU looked like, not that I expected them to go 15-0, 15-0, based on your favorite quarterback, Joe Burrow's excellence there. But my initial reaction was, uh-oh. But now here we are a year and a half later, and sure, Florida State has not righted itself, but LSU is going to bring a very talented roster to the field, but this is more than a winnable game for Florida State.
Right. And I think it is a good idea. I think we beat Duquesne. I think we finally remember what it's like to beat an FCS team. So I think we beat Duquesne. I think we beat LSU. I like the bye week after LSU. Because I think it's going to be a physical game. I like that we're going to get a chance to recover. We're going to have 2 bye weeks this season because we're playing in week 0. I'm concerned about Louisville. I remember us going up and getting waxed by a 1-win Louisville team in 2020, and us looking bad against Louisville for the first half this past season. So I'm going to say we lose to Louisville. I like that we got Boston College coming down, playing in the heat of Tallahassee at the end of September. So I think if Florida State is 3-1 at the end of September, I think we're in a good spot. Logan, what do you think about the first 4 games?
I think they're definitely. I do like actually having a smaller opponent before facing LSU, which will be a neutral site game over there in New Orleans. But
will you be joining me in New Orleans for that? I'm
absolutely
already there. I've got my plane ticket. Will you be joining me in New Orleans?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Mark, will you join us in New Orleans?
Oh, it's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Sunday before Labor Day.
That makes things different. I may swoop in at the last minute.
Just saying.
I got to be locked in here on a Saturday, but I can fly out early Sunday.
Oh, wow.
We do a post-game show. I'm just saying, throwing it out there.
It's possible.
All right, let's talk. All right, so Logan.
I didn't realize the Sunday. Nice. I like that.
Yeah, no. FSU's got a weird schedule this year. Very weird start to this.
Louisville on a Friday.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the disgusting Friday game at the end of the year. We'll talk about that when we get to the November point.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I like starting off with a smaller opponent before facing LSU. And then you have that bye week, which you're given because of you're playing a game on week 0. And then you go to Louisville, you've got Boston College, and then things start getting into the rough patch, which we'll talk about. But, that's not a bad start, at least for a team that's bringing back some experience, but you're going to have another handful of transfers coming in that will fight for starting spot too, to face against the Dukes on August 27th. But it's a solid kind of more relaxed start. You're still throwing in LSU there too, but I do like that it's, they've lost some guys along with bringing in a new coaching staff with Brian Kelly, and Brian Kelly is definitely a really solid coach, but this is Mike Norvell's 3rd year. You got to hope that, the more experienced side of things helps.
So best case, worst case scenario, before we get to Mark, best case, worst case scenario for the results. So end of September, after the Boston College game, best schedule possible, worst case scenario schedule.
Best case
record, worst case record, and I'll give mine.
Best case I think would be.
You think 4-0? Wow.
Yeah,
Mark just called.
I'd say 4-0. Worst case would really be 2-2.
Okay. I'm going to say 3-1 best case, 2-2 worst case. So all right, so
two notes for me on the LSU game. One would be that even though that's going to be given a ton of attention, being a nationally televised game, and when I say nationally televised, of course, again, they almost all are, but meaning it's the only Sunday night game. All of college football is going to be watching that game, much like the Notre Dame game last year. So you want to win that game for an appearance standpoint, but from a technical standpoint of going after your goals of winning the ACC, that's the game to lose, actually. You want to win the ACC games. They're more important.
Agree. But at this rate, I think we have a better chance of losing to Louisville than we do to LSU. I just that Louisville kind of has that same Raleigh vibe to me. I
do like that they have a week off heading into that game, whereas I think it will be a physical game against LSU. So I do like that they'll be able to heal, and even you got to think about your starting quarterback too. And throughout his last 2 seasons, really the biggest knock on him is health wise. So if you can get an extra week of rest with Jordan Travis, you got to hope though this offseason helps excel and also improve his body where he can withstand a full game. But yeah, I do like that the bye week before going.
My other quick question about the LSU game, and I don't know if anyone can answer this, but we've got this LSU game spotlight on a Sunday night. All of college football world's watching. Same thing with Notre Dame on. Was that a Sunday or Monday night?
It was a Sunday last year, and then we play LSU both games, both this game in New Orleans, and then the next year, 2023, in Orlando, is also on a Sunday night.
There was the Ole Miss game of 20, whatever year
16.
that was, 16.
Was on
That
Labor Day.
was an isolated. There was the Virginia Tech Labor Day game. So this is becoming commonplace for Florida State. Do we know who's responsible for this? Because actually, this is a stroke of genius. This is, maybe I'm overrating it a bit, but this is something that you want to do. You want to be highlighted when nobody else can watch anybody else but you. I think this is good for Florida State to play games on national TV when nobody else is playing.
I don't disagree that it's good for Florida State. Personally, I would like it to be, and once again, we talk about the whole how Mark and I are kind of old school in this one. I would rather the games have been in Baton Rouge and Tallahassee as opposed to New Orleans and Orlando. But still, I do agree with Mark. I think it's a national exposure. I think if we can go into New Orleans, which, you know, Logan said neutral site, it's going to be a very pro LSU crowd. Obviously there's going to be a lot of people
absolutely
heavily intoxicated. I'm sure Logan will be one of them. Heavily intoxicated entering that stadium. The smell of vomit will be all through the streets of New Orleans heading to the
Maybe I want to
Superdome.
reconsider.
Yeah, you might want to reconsider that one a little bit. But yeah, I think it's a chance for Florida State. So if Florida State can go into New Orleans, get a win there, I think we're fine. So I think I'm feeling good about September. A lot more confident than I'm feeling about October. So yeah,